Hello everyone and welcome to episode 19 of Suplexes and Microphones. I'm Joe, this is Nate, and sitting between us is the man that says we deserve it, Elijah Evans IV. Great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, sure.
Look forward to talking to you, getting to know you more. Like I told you right before we started recording, it's like I never really talked to you much other than, in the middle of the show,
Right.
over the barricade. But usually Joe and I will get to know somebody first, to have a few conversations with them, get to know them a little bit, and then we'll have them on the show
Right.
after we get a little bit comfort level. So didn't have that with you. Like I didn't have you on Facebook till we confirmed you as a guest.
Right.
So we kind of did an interview. So it's been good getting to know you, and looking forward to getting to know you a little better, and our viewers as well getting to know you. So
Sure.
yeah, thanks for being here with us today.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about wrestling starting off. So tell me about at what point did you kind of become a fan of wrestling and decide, hey, this is something I might want to do as I get older, that kind of thing?
Well, I've been a fan, I guess this is the generic answer, I've been a fan as long as I can remember. My dad actually got me into it. And the first tape that I remember seeing that really got me hooked was Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, the title versus title match.
Okay.
And after that, I got the vague memories of it. I was pretty young. And then I had my Hulkamania stuff. I had the blue weights and the mat that told you how to work out and everything. You remember that stuff? Yeah, I was all about
Audio
it.
tape?
Oh, I was all about it.
I bet Mikey Galino still has one of those.
I'm almost positive he does. But that's kind of where I first got into it. I didn't start saying to myself that this is what I wanted to do until I was in my 20s already. It was probably a year or two before my son was born, so 2006, 2007. Okay. And my wife now, we were dating at the time, her mom used to get us, her mom's job had a box at Phillips Arena in Atlanta.
Oh.
So we used to go to like all the shows. And then, as ridiculous as it sounds, it was a Batista match.
Really?
And he was coming out and the crowd was going crazy because he was super hot at the time. And I was like, man, I want that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to find a spot to do that. And that's when I really, really decided I was going to do it. I mean, I've had talks with friends and stuff before then, like, hey, we could do that. We should try that. But that's when I really decided I was going to do it and go for it.
Okay. I figured there's always a point where you kind of pinpoint, like, this is where the switch went off. And
Right.
Sure. I was curious what that was for you. So I like talking about, I think characters are very important in any wrestling, especially because you don't have the benefit of a weekly show where people get to know your character and what you do, and storylines. A lot of people going to an indie show might just go to that one and that be it. So I mean, they have to figure out quickly who you are, and do I cheer this guy, do I boo this guy, that kind of thing. So let's talk about your character a little bit. How did you kind of come into being who you are?
Well, it's been kind of a long road for me to find who I was. And what it ended up being is pretty much me. I've been called a butthole, and I just kind of use that now. So it's seeing people that are kind of flashier, like the Money Mayweathers and stuff like that. That kind of hip hop culture with the flashiness to it. I kind of just adopted that to who I was, and it's ever evolving now.
Okay.
So right now, if you don't mind, Nate,
Yeah, go ahead.
you're referring to coming out with a gold jacket and
Yeah.
that sort of thing, because you weren't always doing that.
No,
But I've noticed that recent, very, very arrogant.
right.
With the We Deserve It kind of makes sense as well. But yeah, I do like the direction you've gone with that. And I can see now the Floyd Mayweather
Right.
influence a little bit in there too.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was, the gold jacket is something that I kind of honed in on when I saw you first wearing that.
Right. And
Okay.
it just feels more natural to me.
Okay.
And more natural to my true character as a person. I find that in wrestling, people trying to be something a little bit more than what they really are, it feels forced sometimes, and I think that's where I was before. I had a really stupid karate thing I was doing, and it just didn't even feel natural.
And see, fans can detect that.
Right,
Yeah,
and they
right.
can, and I was getting nowhere. And as soon as I started kind of leaning, they loved it.
Yes.
As soon as I started being more myself and finding who I really was and how I was comfortable is where I kind of started taking off a little bit.
Did you give him the gold jacket to them, or is that what's going on?
I don't know. I guess they just heard I was in here.
That's right.
That's all it takes sometimes.
Keep security at the door, please. We don't need anything.
So you mentioned the Cardi gimmick. Tell me some other past gimmicks you might have had that didn't go over so well, or just whether it did or
Oh,
or
man.
not go over.
That was the first true gimmick, I guess, when I was really on my own, and that didn't work. And then before that, most of my career, I guess you could say, was spent in a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing well, but the other person I was in tag team with, Ethan Case, he's a big personality, and I was really new. And me being with him, like learning was great, but I also wasn't. I was kind of starting to just emulate what he did because it worked so well for him, but that wasn't really me.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a gimmick as much as I was kind of copying his.
Gotcha.
So, and then I tried to find mine, and it obviously didn't work. And then I just kind of started being me. So.
Now, Ethan, we had on our very first episode.
Yeah.
So he mentioned you a little bit in there and talked
Yeah.
about the 80s influence you guys had.
Yep.
And you actually introduced him to the Money for Nothing song.
Yeah, I did.
He still uses that today as a song.
He does.
So mention that, and the members only jackets, which is pretty cool because I had one. I'm sure you had one too, Joe.
Absolutely.
You're
Still rock it from time
One
to
or
time.
two.
Speaking of which, King of Dong Style, he has the sweetest members only jacket ever, and it's all white, and I love it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan, yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
Is it leather, like a fabric, or
No,
what?
it's the
original?
It's the original
Nice.
members only jacket. It's just straight white. I love it.
I'd still love to see the guy live. We haven't seen him live yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, he's been around a few times.
Yeah, no, we need to
Yeah.
catch up with him for sure.
For sure.
Now the members only jackets. I never could figure out why they have a little strap that snaps across the throat. Never.
You know, I don't know. I never snapped it.
No
one
other
time.
jacket ever has that. So it's kind of.
No.
So did your team with Ethan have a name?
We were worst case scenario.
Okay.
Yep, worst case scenario. And that wasn't planned to have case in the name. It was a name that we came up with and we liked, and it clicked, and it kind of got short to WCS. But yeah, that was it.
So how'd you and Ethan meet? How'd you hook up and become a team?
So I started one of my first shows outside of wrestling or outside of training, because at the WWE4 where I trained, they tape every Thursday, and that's like their show.
Mm-hmm.
My first show outside of that was at a place called one of my first shows outside of that was a place called SWA in East Denali, Georgia. I mean, it was a good show. I mean, for what it was, they pulled about 150 people regularly. Tried to have good production, you know. They tried to keep it pretty professional. But I went one day and I was in this tag match, and they were gonna put me in there with some guy under a mask that just wasn't anything. He was another guy that was wrestling twice, really.
No. Put hood on, work.
Yeah. And Ethan and myself were also in this Battle Royal later, and he said, "Hey, I'm not doing anything else. I'm gonna ask if I can be your tag partner." And we just kind of clicked from there. That was it. Like, it was just on a whim. If you ask him, he wasn't even gonna be there that day. He was coming off an injury. He was thinking about leaving wrestling for good.
Oh, wow.
And we just happened to be at the same place at the same time and
Timing,
clicked.
man.
Yeah,
Timing.
it's wild how that happens, right?
Yes.
Were you guys like a face team, heel team? What was your?
We were heels right off the bat.
Okay.
Yep. Just we faced their big babyface team, and we got to go out there and be buttholes, and it was fun.
That's fine.
And it clicked, yeah.
So let's talk about your name. I know it's not your real name. You don't have to give your real name, but so Elijah Evans IV. Where'd that come from?
It kind of evolved. At first I was just going by Eli. I had just watched the book of Eli, and I wanted to. And I liked the name. It meant teacher, and I thought it was cool, like in the Bible, like the biblical meaning of it. And I went by Eli. And after a while, I've been told by a couple people, like, you need a last name, and Eli just doesn't have anything to it. Like, you need some kind of last name.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my wife kind of went through random last names. I don't remember most of them, but Evans stuck. So it was Eli Evans. After teaming with Ethan, who most of the time calls me E, but he just started using the full name. I guess that was his thing at the time. Like, nobody used their nicknames. He would call everybody by their full name.
Mm-hmm.
So Oh wow! Yeah, I know. That's amazing.
Best name ever.
Yeah,
We apologize.
It is what it is.
Thank you to Palmetto Championship Wrestling for putting us right next to a birthday party.
Thank you, Shane.
But he started calling me Elijah, so it turned into Elijah Evans. And then to sound more pompous, one day when I was introducing myself to somebody, I said the fourth, and then that just stuck.
Yeah.
So
Got the entitlement ring.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So
Works,
the more and more I use it, the more and more I like it. And you're like, oh, you got rid of the fourth. Couldn't get out of here, man. I was
Right.
like, yeah. Let's keep it.
Have you ever worked as a face, or is it pretty much always been a heel?
I worked as a face, especially when I first started. And there with veterans at the time, like AR Foxes and Live Nations. I mean, I was the face. They were kind of leading everything, and but after a while, it just feels more natural for me to be a heel. Being a baby face isn't really my thing, but from time to time, I guess it depends on who you're in there with.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed the heels. One thing I really like about indie shows is just the interaction you get with the wrestlers,
Right.
from mainstream shows. So, and you're real good about doing that. So
Yeah.
you and I've had a few face-offs at ringside.
Yeah.
That's always kind of fun. I have a picture. I'm gonna pop up here on the screen for you now. It was at What Lies Beneath, the PWX. The photograph was done by New Photography Studios, May 21st, 2017. So
Yeah.
that's my favorite wrestling picture right there. You and me squaring off. So you were outside the ring with I'm sure you remember, but James Drake, and you're kind of doing each other's moves. He did a move where you threw him off the ropes and throw the forearm like he usually does.
Better
other
than he
people.
does.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because you actually laid him out.
Because he was laid out. Yeah. Exactly.
So I jump up and I say, "You can't do this move to him." You're like, "I do whatever I want, sitting here, down." This was a lot of fun. It was a cool picture. Just look at the picture. It's like everybody's looking at us. Everybody's seated.
Yeah.
It's just you and me, only people in the room standing up.
Everybody was looking at me. You just happened to be there.
I was just in the way.
Yeah.
I was the reason why you're standing there. And then, like, security guys in the corner, like, "Hey, et cetera." It's just, I love the picture.
It's a good picture. I
It
like
is good.
Good times.
Drake's all
Good
laid out
experience.
on the ground. So
That's one of my favorite parts about wrestling is interacting with the crowd. I mean, that's what we're there for.
Sure.
Is to entertain. And I mean, you go to a show, you're sitting front row, and someone's like, you get drawn into the show yourself. That keeps you coming back to it. Like, hey, like this is awesome. Like you even feel part of it. So
Absolutely.
just them up there doing their thing and ignoring you, like that's no fun. You know what I mean? So I love stuff like that.
yeah, I've always enjoyed that about you. But you participate with fans, interacting with them. So, you have any fun stories to share where you've really gotten somebody mad?
Anybody chase you down the parking lot afterwards?
Not in
Granny swinging on you?
I have old ladies that always threaten
Nice.
to beat me up. For some reason, old ladies don't
They're
like
vicious,
me.
man.
Yeah, and at a show called Platinum Championship Wrestling in Georgia, old lady, I was giving her hell. I was being such a butthole, and she almost climbed in the ring on me.
Nice.
Yeah, she had to be held back. A little old lady. I don't know what I was going to do if she actually got in. I guess I would have had to hit her.
You took it this far.
I'm not opposed to it. I mean, it would be the first time. But
She asked for it.
yeah, but that's about it. Like I don't get the crazy stories or the crazy fans. I guess they know better.
Now, one thing I noticed, let's talk about influences a little bit. We talked a little bit, we're talking on Facebook Messenger. Ted DiBiase,
Yeah,
The Rock, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair. It's a great list. I can't argue with any of those. Those are all guys I really like.
I was happy to see those names.
She was like, I love this list. I was like, I know. One thing they all have in common is they're all great talkers.
right.
And I've noticed you on the microphone at PWX, when you get the stick, you always do a good job with it.
Oh,
So-
thank you.
So, so tell me about some things you might have drawn from some of these guys.
Big personalities. Just big personalities. Arn Anderson, he is a great talker, but I like his technical ability a lot too. But the other three, just big personalities, and that's what kind of draws me to it. Ted DiBiase has actually been recently, as I've been developing who I am, I started watching him more, and I'm like, man, this guy he's amazing, just way over the top, like he knows who he is. And he's super flashy, and I like that about him, like coming out with like the all green money suits and stuff, like just absolutely ridiculous. And I love it. The Rock, of course, I mean, come on. Right. How can you deny that guy's just attraction and the electricity, like he says? I mean, he's just transcended the whole game just with this, you know? And as a kid, him talking, and I was just listening to everything he had to say. And he was so cool with his glasses and his silk shirts and like his swagger. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it. And Rick, I mean, I think he's probably in that conversation of the greatest of all time for sure. And there's other wrestlers.
Did you look at the notes? We'll get to the great.
I'll get to that later.
We'll get to the goat soon.
Well, he's one of them.
Another page.
But just like I said, like the flashiness of it, the spectacle he makes when every time he just walks to the ring before he even starts to wrestle, and I think that's what attracted me to him the most as well. And that's something that I like when I look at wrestling, like the entrance and just if they can grab your attention before they even start getting in there and wrestling, that's something that sticks out to me a lot.
Now, one thing I mentioned, like I said just then, it's like you getting on the stick at PWX. One thing I like about the Horsemen throughout the 80s was they were all good in the ring, they were all good in the microphone, they could all talk very comfortably. They had a manager, J.J. Dillon.
Right.
Do they really need him as far as talking goes?
Not
I don't think so. Kind of wrap things up at the end every time. You know,
Right.
he said this, and kind of wrap that up. But the way I look at you guys as a syndicate in PWX, I think that you're a very comfortable talker, all good ring workers, and you have a manager. I mean,
Right.
he does his part outside the ring,
Yeah.
things like that, and on the stick too. But just parallels I see between you guys. So
it's an awesome comparison. I'll take that.
yeah, we said RDS players like Horsemen. I could definitely see kind of that role, like
Right.
in a group like that.
And I appreciate the fact that you didn't go the Nation of Domination with that, because that's what we get more than anything.
Oh, really?
Really.
I mean, a group of black guys.
Just because-
I mean-
versus another group of black guys, I think that's the first thing everybody goes to.
Mhm.
But being compared to something like the Horsemen, which is really what we're more trying to, or what we're more influenced by, is I appreciate that.
I definitely see more as the Horsemen. Come.
Yeah, I'm not even. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're both black.
That's about where it
black
stops.
people.
It's about where it stops, but you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I remember Cutshaw saying, "Let me be your Owen," kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we get.
Yeah.
That's what we get.
I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Now I've seen some pictures on Facebook. I hadn't got to see the video yet because I don't really get to follow ROH. But I saw you've done some work there. And
Oh, yeah.
so talk about that a little bit.
Man, that's probably my goal. Like, everybody has a goal of where they want to get in wrestling, and being part of Ring of Honor on a regular basis is definitely my goal. And to even have been a part of them in the small capacity I've had is amazing to me. My first match was a dark match against, it was Trevor Lee, I want to say, and then another guy that's no longer around. I forgot his name. It was me and Ethan as a tag, and we had just come off a seminar. We went there. They gave us a dark match, and we had a good time. And then my next match was actually another tag with Ethan. That was our first TV match, and that was against Moose and R.D. Evans when they were doing their thing together. When it was part of the R.D. Evans streak that he had going. And we got a lot of good feedback on that. They said it was the best match they'd seen those two have against some of the people they brought in up to that point, which was, I mean, come on, like from the brass at Ring of Honor telling you that was amazing.
Right.
And then I've done, some Future of Honor stuff since then, and I've been a security guard. I saved Shaheem's life, so you're welcome, Shaheem Ali. I saved your life. But yeah, it's been amazing just being a part of that, and hopefully I get more chances in the future, because that's my ultimate goal.
So you've also done some stuff with WWE. You mentioned NXT and Smackdown. What have you done on those?
Man, I say Ring of Honor is my ultimate goal, and but being part of anything WWE is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a spot that I just had never imagined or envisioned myself being in, especially starting so late into my 20s, and now being in my early 30s already. You think like that window is kind of closed, and I'm beginning to realize it might not be, especially doing stuff with NXT. I mean, I went as an extra. They put me in a tag match. It didn't end up getting aired, but that's okay. I just got beat up.
You got seen too.
Yeah. And I was in Center Stage, which is a historic wrestling event or venue in Atlanta, just from the WCW days.
Tapings and stuff.
Yeah, and
Ring of Honor's there this weekend, aren't they?
Ring of Honor is going to be
Or
there
is it
July
next-
21st.
Oh, next month. My bad.
Yep, they're going to do Nashville, and then July 21st will be in Atlanta.
Are you in on that?
I will be there. I don't know if I'm doing anything, but I will be there.
Okay.
We will get a road trip.
Road trip.
Yeah. And then being part of SmackDown as a security guard, getting yelled at Owens and Zayn was pretty cool. I was at Raw the day before. We just didn't do anything, which is fine. I mean, just being backstage in the presence of all these people that you see that have been watching on TV for 15 years, it was just a great experience. And to realize that even on that level, everybody's still so cool, and everybody's still real chill, and you think like they don't have a reason to really come talk to me, but like a guy like Shelton Benjamin, who's been around forever, sat down at the table with us and was just cutting up. Like that was awesome. It's cool, So that whole experience, even not being on TV, that whole experience was just amazing. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what that leads to, and we'll see where it goes from there. And I'd love any kind of opportunity there as well in the future.
We had Drew Adler on our show a few episodes ago rather, and he mentioned getting to be an extra on SmackDown. One thing he talked about so much was the catering backstage. You got any comments on that?
Oh my gosh, I ate so much meatloaf. Man, they have their catering crew travels with them. They have like people that are chefs, and then they cook stuff from like the area that you're in.
I wondered that. I know if they like contacted somebody local, like, hey, we're coming.
Yeah.
So it's more the traveling.
They have like people that are set up there. Well, they might not travel. It just looked like it was a set up area like where they cook and stuff there. I don't know if they bring the crew in that actually does the cooking or not. But the stuff they were cooking, like in Atlanta, it was like meatloaf and fish and like just like kind of real southern cuisine.
Nice.
In Tennessee, it was actually like seafood. It was like crab cakes and stuff. But it was really, really good. And there's so much for everybody being in such good shape. They have so much cheesecake.
I think you mentioned the cheesecake.
There's so much junk food and a lot of cereal. But man, their food is off the chain, and it just keeps coming. I mean, all those guys back there and women eating, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming. Because I mean, you're there from like our call time was 1 o'clock, and then you're there until the end of the show at 11:30.
Yeah.
After the cameras stop rolling,
Long time.
So, yeah. But they treat you right. It's nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you asked you kind of what you do in your spare time, waiting for fun, hobbies, that kind of thing, and you proclaim yourself as nerd culture activities. So let's talk about comics a little bit. Joe's kind of our comics guy, so
you probably know way more than me, but I'm into it.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
My favorite comic, my favorite one I've read so far all the way through was the Power Rangers story. I thought that Power Rangers story was really cool with Lord Draken. That was really interesting. A different take on it, a little bit darker. Of course, growing up a Power Rangers fan as a kid, like seeing that was just awesome. I like. This is gonna sound like cliche because it just came out, but I really like Thanos, the character Thanos. I've been reading. I read a lot of the Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet, and right now I'm reading this comprehensive Captain Marvel that has from Thanos' origin all through his battles with.
So are you a Marvel guy or DC?
I just like a good story. It doesn't bother. It doesn't matter.
You said Marvel? Okay. He said Marvel.
Marvel it is.
Because I find the Joker story super interesting in DC.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they have Superman's kind of stale to me. My neighbor's a big Superman fan. I always give him hell for it.
Don't blame me.
But I like the Joker stories, and I'm very interested in those Dark Knights, those DC Metal Dark Knight series. I'm interested in seeing where that goes.
So you told me video games too. So are you console guy or PC or what do you do?
Console. Like I said, I was listening to stuff with my son on the way up here. He's big into Nintendo. He's like, so we play a lot of Nintendo together. But yeah, I have a PS4 that I enjoy pretty good.
So you're PS4 guy versus Xbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I tend to have that. Xbox kind of pissed me off with the 360.
Okay.
I bought a 360. It was the first Xbox I ever owned. Got the Red Ring of Death in the middle of playing Assassin's Creed. Sent it in, got my new Xbox. I was cool. Was about done with Assassin's Creed, and I got it again. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this again. I sent it in, got it back, but my hard drive had crashed as well. And that day I was just like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to GameStop. I took all my Xbox stuff and traded it in for a PS3.
So you got $5 for it?
Actually, I got a decent deal because I
Okay.
had so much stuff. But I got God of War 3 at the same time, and man, that just God of War series just kind of got me hooked, and I've had a PlayStation ever since. And to the point where even my wife sits down and watches the game.
Oh, really?
She just enjoys watching it, yeah. So definitely a PS4 guy.
Yeah, I had a PlayStation 1 and 2. I kind of quit playing for a while. So I didn't get a 3, and I have a 4 now.
Yeah.
And me and my son, my daughter play some. And
Yeah.
especially, it's just amazing the vibrant how the graphics are. Like we played FIFA Sports Soccer.
Yeah.
And my wife walks in. She thought we were just watching soccer on television.
Yeah.
That's actually a video game. So yeah.
So we had that. I had that happen. I had Nintendos all the way. I still get Nintendos, but I had that all the way up until my Xbox. And with my uncle, I was playing. It was Tiger Woods golf on the GameCube, and my uncle thought the same thing on GameCube. And I was like, yo, if you think that looked real, you have no idea. But yeah, me and my son, we play a lot of stuff on the PlayStation together. Like our favorite right now is probably Brawlhalla. It's a downloadable game. It's kind of like a Smash Brothers, except it has different characters, but it's really fun. It's a fun game.
It's good bonding with your kids.
Oh yeah.
I
I
enjoy
it's
it
more
together.
me kicking his butt a lot, but he wins every now and then. He's pretty
You
good at
let
it.
him win every so often.
I won't let him win. He actually legit beats me every
Make him
now and
work for it,
then.
yeah. My kids work for it too. It's like I'm not job until you guys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're going to kind of do some, not necessarily one word answer, word association, but something kind of short answer, Twitter version.
Okay.
So, talk about. I'm gonna throw some names at you.
Oh man, I'm
Tell me-
not too good at
Some
these.
stuff kind of comes to you first. We'll
Okay.
talk about it. All right. We talked about him already. Your former tag team partner, Ethan Case.
Teacher, I learned a lot from him. Like just straight up tagging for so long, watching him from the corner. Like I learned a whole lot about wrestling from Ethan Case.
We talked about this guy also, James Drake.
James Drake, I got respect for James Drake, I guess.
Yes.
we had some battles. He's been in it for a while. Another guy that even just being in the ring with him, I learned a lot of stuff from him, and can't deny the man's presence. So respect.
Number 3, Billy Brash.
Man, he works his butt off. I love Billy Brash, man. He's one of the hardest workers. Me and him have we have a little background in both being firefighters, and since then he's left the firefighting, but he's to focus on wrestling, and good for him. I wish I could do it too. But man, that guy, his hustle is, I don't know if it's matched.
Let's talk about the firefighter thing. Let's kind of pause our hot tag and talk about that. So I meant to bring it up earlier. I got
It's all good.
my bad. So yeah, how'd you kind of decide to do that, be a firefighter? It's something. As a child, I've always thought, it'd be fun to be a policeman or a fireman. And
Right.
if I actually do it, I have a lot of respect for them, our first responders.
Yeah, for sure.
So, serve your community. I have a lot of respect for you guys doing that. So, talk about kind of how you got to that.
I definitely got to it in a roundabout way. It wasn't something I've always wanted to do, honestly. I was in school to be a teacher. I was an early childhood education major, and me and my wife, we found out we were having my son, and I was like, well, I gotta support them. Like, I can't just be a full-time student and try to raise a kid. Like, it's hard. I gotta do something to where I can support them. So in early 2008, I went to 2009. I went to, shortly after he was born, I went to EMT school. And I was an EMT first.
Okay.
Before I was even a firefighter. I wasn't thinking about firefighting. I was just going to be an EMT, work 911, be on an ambulance. I know it's a good career, stable.
People always getting hurt, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always people. I see people doing dumb stuff. I'm like, that's job security
Job
right
security.
there.
Keep it up.
But yeah, just doing my clinicals, riding with the fire department, I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, I would love to be able to do both, maybe. Like, I got interested in the fire side. So, as I was working as an EMT, I applied to the fire department. I got hired in 2011, January 2011. So, it's been about 7.5 years now. And, yeah, I love it. And I moved into the fire marshal's office, so I'm not even on shift anymore. I was now Monday through Friday, got a stable position, and I am the educator. So it kind of came full circle.
Wow, very cool.
And I'm the guy that goes to the schools and teaches kids to stop, drop, and roll and all that.
That's fun.
And so now, yeah, it's kind of came full circle in that aspect, but I love it. I enjoy it. I mean, there's nothing better than being out in the community and helping those around you, and just little kids coming up and like you're their hero and you haven't even really done anything, like just showing them the truck, just the awe in their eyes, and they're so interested, and that's adults too. It's just a good feeling. I feel like I'm contributing somehow.
Yeah, definitely are.
Yeah. So.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
I always like talking about what people do for a living. If you don't want to talk about it, you kind of
Of
think.
course.
All right, back to the hot tag. Sorry about the sidetracking there. Apollo Cruz.
It's my buddy. We started training around the same time, actually. So he's one of the guys that I kind of came up with. Of course, he's skyrocketed, but we always knew that it was going to happen for him. I mean, he's just that natural athlete, amazing physique, good charisma. Even before WWE, he was doing Dragon Gate. He was just all around the world. But as my buddy, I like him. Just probably the nicest person I've met in wrestling, and it's all genuine. That smile you see on TV is legit. Like, that's 24/7 for that guy. And he's just a really, really good dude. I love that guy, man.
And he's like from Stone Mountain. You're in the Buford area,
Stone
so
Mountain.
the Atlanta guys.
Yep. We were about 20-30 minutes from each other, and I wish I could see him more often, but we communicate through text for the most part now. But yeah, just like I said, just a genuinely good dude, and didn't forget who he was and where he came from when he made it to that next level, which is even cooler.
All right, so the last person we'll talk about in the hot tag, actually your opponent tonight here at PCW and the tournament, Tracer X.
I've only had the one encounter with him, and I beat him. But I mean, he's a great athlete, super athletic. He has a good charisma about him, and people seem to like him. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens tonight.
I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that. That's one of the topics I'm looking forward to tonight.
Oh, well, I appreciate it.
All right, Joe.
So one of the features we have here is called the over the top rope.
Okay.
And what we do is we get a question from our previous guests, specifically for you,
Okay.
for the next guest. And you'll have to provide one for the next person. And our last guest was Rob Killjoy. And Rob Killjoy and I were talking this morning, and he said to ask you,
Okay.
someone you mentioned earlier, Moose. He said, what's it like to road trip with Moose?
Well, it's like just having more luggage in the back because he sleeps most of the time. I don't know if you've seen pictures, but I've been on a couple with Moose. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Moose is hilarious. He legit thinks the earth is flat, which I think is really, really,
He really
funny.
does.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that actually believes that. I've heard the
I've
jokes.
heard about it. Here's the theory kind of thing. I've heard about it.
I don't know if he could joke about that. I'm gonna say he legit thinks the earth is flat. But Moose is hilarious. He actually used to live on the same street, like 5 minutes away from my house.
Oh, wow.
And we'd go to training together from time to
Another
time.
Atlanta area guy?
Yep, he
Okay.
lived in Buford, like 5 minutes from my house, before he moved, of course. But he'd give you the shirt off his back. He's a really, really nice dude too. Of course, his football background coming into wrestling, they kind of have this big head, like larger than life thing, but he doesn't. Like it was nothing to him. But traveling with Moose, he's asleep a lot, and then you get random stuff. Me, him, and Tommy Thomas were out on a trip, and it was snowing. We're in the Northeast, and we pulled on the side of the road so people could relieve themselves. And I guess Tommy was being Tommy, kind of being annoying, and Moose threatened to beat his face into the snow.
Oh.
And we all thought that was hilarious.
Wow.
And Tommy didn't say anything for a couple hours after that.
Quieted down a little
Yeah, he
bit.
did. But Moose, I love traveling Moose. He's funny. He's funny.
And for anybody who doesn't know, this is a guy that I think he's currently in Impact, yeah?
He's in the
And
Impact.
he's been in Ring of Honor.
He has
And like you said, I think he played for the Falcons for a little
played
while.
for the Falcons, the Colts.
Big
the
guy, big
Saints.
athlete guy,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So definitely, if someone said to me they beat my face in the ground, they look like Moose.
Yeah.
I'd take him at
I'd be
that.
real
Yeah.
quiet.
I'd take him at that.
Yeah, for sure.
So now we're moving into the next feature that we have here, and it's called the 10 count.
Okay.
And Elijah, just so you know, this is kind of a group of questions that it's maybe 20, 30 questions we can kind of draw from and,
Okay.
and just ask you 10 of them. Okay?
Okay.
And so we could apply them to the next guest as well. The first question, and we were talking about comics a little bit earlier, pick a superpower for yourself.
Super strength.
Super strength.
Yeah.
Hulk style or without being angry?
Yeah, like that strength like Superman strength without being like angry like Superman. Or like Hulk, yeah.
Gotcha. All
Without
right.
busting out your clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, number 2 on the 10 count. Who is the GOAT in your opinion?
Of all time?
That's it.
Man. I'm gonna say Ric Flair. I think that's kind of a generational question. It just depends on what generation we're in at the time. But I think of all time, I guess I'll say Ric Flair because even newer guys that are like at the top look up to Ric Flair. And that man put a whole company, legit put a whole company on his back. Like if he'd have left the NWA, I mean, I don't know, man.
All right, so this is our second guest that got the question right. Is that or third maybe?
Yeah.
We hear Shawn Michaels so much.
Yeah.
Not denying Shawn.
He's great. He's
is
one
great,
of them. He's
but,
one of them.
Nate and I are a little bit older than you, so
Yeah.
we grew up on Flair.
The generational thing, like you mentioned,
I think it is.
part
Yeah.
of it.
But yeah, he's definitely an influencer for all the other mini goats.
Right.
Right. So number 3, you drove here from the Atlanta area today.
Yeah.
Road trip playlist. You mentioned the podcast with your son.
Today it was podcast. Normally it's K-pop.
K-pop.
Yeah,
It's
Korean
between
pop. Korean
Korean
pop
I've
music.
never heard of this.
Never.
No.
Oh man, it's addictive. I love K-pop.
It's just got a nice beat.
Oh yeah, like it reminds me of a lot of like the late 90s, early 2000s kind of pop with the boy bands and stuff. And
But it's Korean lyrics, though.
it's kind of a mix. They use Korean and English words, but the music is awesome. And yeah, like I think it's some of the best music out there. I listen to K-pop like regularly,
Wow.
and I've got my family hooked on it. I think.
I'll check it out. I love music. So I'll
Nate's our
definitely
music
give that a
guy,
listen to.
so I know he'll be
Okay.
Googling that
I
later.
mean, a lot of it can be pretty cookie cutter, but you find some stuff that's like really, really, really good in there. It's awesome.
Okay.
Number 4 on the 10 count is what we call the envy question. Our last guest was Rob Killjoy.
Okay.
If you could take one thing from Rob Killjoy, it could be abilities, it could be merchandise, it could be his finisher, it could be his girlfriend, whatever you want to take from him and have it for yourself, what would it be?
Well, don't want his girlfriend. She's sweet and all.
But you're married.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely married.
I just think that so you understand that I mean anything. You
Yeah.
can take his car, which his car, he just totaled his car, so you don't
Yeah,
want that.
don't want that
that.
either. I envy their hustle. The Ugly Ducklings, man, they push some merchandise.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're all over the place,
Oh, yeah.
up and down the East Coast, out to the West Coast, and man, their hustle is amazing. So I'd say that.
Okay. All right. Number 5. We've talked a lot about you and how you got into wrestling.
Right.
But have you ever played any other sports?
I was a male cheerleader in college
Okay.
for 3 years at Georgia State University.
I don't believe that.
I was.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
3 years. I was a basketball cheerleader. That was other than that, like that was my first like school related team collegiate activity that I had done. That I was actually like good at. In high school I wrestled for a year. I was really bad. I was about 230 pounds and never worked out. So I was wrestling all these guys off the football team that were like linemen and just getting
Monsters,
worked.
yeah.
Yeah, just getting worked. Tried out for the baseball team, didn't make it. I was really nervous during the batting portion of that. And the person in front of me was a guy named Jeff Francoeur. You guys know who that is?
Mm-hmm.
He's in the major leagues for like 10 years.
Okay.
We graduated at the same time, but when I was gonna try out for the team, he was in front of me and he just bombed everything out of the park.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and I went up there and missed every single one of them. I missed the bunt. I was so nervous.
Not a good person to
Yeah,
follow.
no. And I didn't make the team or the basketball team. I was the walking boy for the basketball team.
You playing your rec sports?
I played rec league baseball because they can't cut you. And I played rec league basketball for the same reason.
Okay.
I was okay. I was never really that great, but cheerleading is when I got my athleticism after high school. Like cheerleading really took off for me. I enjoyed that a lot.
That's my 5, Nate.
All right. Tell us about your first car.
My first car was a 1988 Cutlass Brougham.
And what year was this that you had this car?
2007.
Little perspective.
It was 2003, I'd say. 2003 is when I got it. A little old lady owned it before me. It had 88,000 miles on it. It had big, nice, sweet, comfy orange seats. That thing was awesome.
It says it's Cadillac, you said?
It was a Cutlass.
Cutlass, okay.
Yeah.
Oldsmobile.
Okay.
Oldsmobile Cutlass Brougham.
Okay.
It was awesome. Nice and brown, colored brown Hornet.
Did you have much problems with it? Any fun stories wrecking it or any?
I didn't have any
no
issues
problems?
with it. Yeah, it was actually
took
a
care?
really good car. Yeah. I switched out the radio for something that could play CDs because she had the original radio in it. I don't even think I could put a cassette tape in it.
Oh yeah.
But that was about it, man. It was a good car, and we sold it in good condition. I just got something a little newer. Yeah.
Now, if you could next question, if you could sit down with somebody dead or alive, can be wrestling, doesn't have to be wrestling, sit down in a room like we are with you right now, who would it be?
Oh man.
Sit down, pick their brain for 2 hours.
That's a good question. I've never even thought of anything like that. I don't know. If I could sit down with anybody and just talk to them.
Dead or alive.
Anybody.
Wow. I don't want to give a cliche answer. Man, can we come back to that?
Sure.
I don't know, man.
Come back.
That's tough.
Yeah. I like when we stump people.
That's
right.
It's fun.
That's tough.
I'd probably cheese them a little bit right now. So.
That's right.
Next question from our friend Cody Fluffman. Tracer X, you're wrestling him tonight.
Right.
You might have seen at Christmas that he got a was it Wheaties?
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes, thank you, with his picture on it. So, Wheaties is always known for having athletes on their covers. If you could be on a cereal box, what would it be?
Man, frosted mini wheats. Because I love them. I just love them. I can eat them anytime.
That's good.
Yeah, I love frosted mini wheats.
So you have a sweet side then? Frosted
Oh,
side?
my sweet tooth is ridiculous. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's a struggle every day.
Not bad. All right, here's a fun question I always like. It's called a pick two street fight. Let's say that 3 guys are challenging you to a fight. You can pick any two indie wrestlers to have your back in this fight. Who would it
Back?
be? Yeah.
Help you out.
Any 2 indie wrestlers to have my back.
3-on-3 street fight.
Let's see. I'd say if he would do it, probably James Drake because he's pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's go ACH because he has a lot of speed. And he can get up and down and around all these guys, and I think that'd be pretty sweet.
All right. If you could change, this is what we call the genie in the bottle question. If you could change one thing about pro wrestling, what would it be? And these are
Any level.
WWE, any level.
It probably on the surface, like on the outside, I don't think I would pretty much change anything. I mean, I think it's okay. Pretty easy going in that aspect. But in the back, I would say probably drama. I just wish it would go away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not a drama person, so I just want to come, have fun, do a show, have a good time without extra. I don't need all that. I do this to get away from that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I hate when people bring it into wrestling. I just let it go.
Ready to go back to that question?
Not really. Okay.
Let's switch it up for a second to give you a minute to think about it. We would typically ask, name someone that you would want to wrestle that's dead or alive, like your dream match.
That I want to wrestle?
Yeah, and then we'll go back to the sit down.
Okay.
This may jog your memory a little bit. And get you
I want to wrestle Samoa Joe. I
Okay.
think he's awesome, and I think it'd be a good match. Him or like a Jay Lethal.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, Jay Lethal's awesome.
Man, I don't think I just to learn from them in a match would be amazing, and just I think those type of people, like I would try to step up to be on their level, and they would just bring something out of me that I probably didn't know I had, and those two guys right there.
What about Dead?
Wrestlers that are dead that I want to wrestle. Wrestlers that are dead that I want to wrestle.
In the prime, of course.
Yeah.
Not like now.
Not
Yeah.
not the corpse.
Because I'd win all those matches.
Yes.
They'll put you over this.
Let's see. Wrestlers that are dead. Macho Man in his prime.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Another charismatic dude that just even before he got to the ring, it was all about him. And I think, and then in the ring he could just go, and that would be a lot of fun.
Love watching that.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Can we give one more chance? Let's try it.
Someone I'd like to sit down and talk to. It's not very, I guess, profound, but I think Gene Roddenberry, that's the guy who created Star Trek. And I enjoy Star Trek quite a bit. I don't know if you follow any of my posts on social media, but I really like Star Trek. And just to talk to him and see where he just even came up with all this. And to talk to him and see, like, because he passed away during the Next Generation era, and to see where it's at now, like, if he would be happy with it, or if it's something that he had envisioned in the first place, like, I think it'd be cool to sit down and talk to him and see what his baby had turned into.
See if he approves or not of the direction it's taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Well,
I think we're done, Joe.
yeah, that's
Oh,
Wanna
it.
wrap this
So,
up?
plug yourself here. Where can people get a hold of you, buy your merchandise, book you? Where they need to follow you at?
Well, you follow me on Instagram at Elijah_IV the fourth. You can follow, not Instagram, Twitter, Elijah_IV. Twitter is Elijah the fourth. Instagram is Elijah the fourth. I get them all mixed up. Facebook is probably the easiest. It's just Elijah the fourth. Hit me up on Facebook. I try to talk to people until it gets weird. But yeah, so Facebook, Elijah Evans the fourth. Twitter, Elijah_IV. Instagram, Elijah the fourth.
All right.
All right, Joe, where can you find us?
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Suplexes Mics.
And then subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll find out first when the interviews go up. Usually I'll put them up, wait a day or two, and then I'll promote it. So be the first to know when releases come out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/suplexesmics. And that's just all the other stuff. So,
That's it.
all right, man. Thanks for coming with us and,
Yeah,
and hanging out with us and talking, and really enjoy getting to know you better. And
Appreciate y'all
thanks for your
having
time.
me.
Look forward to the match tonight.
Thank you very much.
That's a wrap.
Thanks for watching.